Hello again, you guys. So welcome to a research video. This is the first time I've done one of these, but I have two items today that I have just listed in the last couple of days. And they were ones where I had to do a little bit more in-depth research, basically, to figure out exactly what I had and sort of to give me some guidance of how to price it and how to word it and all that kind of stuff. And as I was doing it, I was thinking that this is really something that I've learned how to do over time. And therefore, maybe it would be worth like making a video basically and just showing you guys like my little step-by-step processes of what I use to kind of figure out items like this and how to list them effectively. So that's what I'm going to do. I have two items for you today. The first one is a vintage item, and the second one, kind of hiding behind here, is a Lilly Pulitzer item that does not have a style number. So I had to do a little bit more sleuthing for that. So I'm going to start with the vintage one, and I'm literally, this is the item right here. I picked this up at a thrift store not too long ago. I went to list it and realized I didn't really know what I had. I actually listed it originally on eBay, and I just put it up for like $35 or so, just thinking it was a neat shirt, which it is. And then I had an offer on it for $30 within about 50 seconds of it being listed. And as resellers know that sometimes, not every time, sometimes it's a coincidence, but most times that means that you have something that is potentially a little bit more unique or is a little bit more appealing than you realized it would be to a potential audience or buyer. So what I did is I kind of halted everything. I did take the listing down. I declined the offer this time, and I decided to do a little bit more research just so I can be, like I said, a bit more effective in my listing and my wording and things like that. So this is what I got from that. This is the t-shirt right here. The tag is actually almost entirely faded. There's just some like color blocking that I can see, and obviously I couldn't do anything with that. So I'm going to take you through my steps basically. So I started off with a Google image search, and I went vintage 70s Americana ringer tee single stitch. So basically I picked out all of the items that I thought, well, all of the keywords that I thought were the most appropriate for this particular piece. I didn't have anything else. I did start with the Wild 76, which is the graphic on the piece, but that didn't lead to anything. So I decided to kind of like tone it down a little bit and try and figure out what I had. So this is where I am with the Google image search with these items. Single stitch is important. That helps to date it. 70s was really kind of a stab in the dark, but from all the stuff I've sold over the years, this one really screams 70s to me. And then ringer tee is obviously referring to like the colored band around the neck and whatnot. So here we go. So I start off here and I literally scroll through and look for anything that might catch my eye. Now, while I'm doing this, I'm also taking a little bit of a look here, and I'm kind of like potentially clicking on things so I can see down here what people are listing them for as sort of rough comps. You could definitely do this just on eBay and Poshmark, but I like to sort of cast my net a little bit wider, if you like, just to get a better idea of the overall marketplace. So I'm still going through. Some of these are actually like true vintage. Some of these are just reproductions. Some of them are actually, companies like Miller Lite over here. And then some of them are like mine, and they're just completely random. So just kind of scrolling on through, like I said, just keeping an eye out, checking things out as I'm going, getting a feel for the marketplace. And then there was one a little bit further down the bottom. And I do scroll a fair way because something like this is quite unique and you're probably not going to find something exactly like it, chances are. But as I was scrolling through, I did come across one specific image. Hopefully it's coming up soon. I do have it on the next slide. If not, I can't remember how far down I went, but it was a ways. I definitely like to sort of take a good look through. And what it was an Etsy listing. I'm going to hop over there in just a second. It may be in more results, but basically scrolling down, I came across this one. This one right here. Now, when I click on it, unfortunately, the listing is gone. So there's no information I can get directly from the listing. But if you look at this one right here in the top left-hand corner, you can see here it says 70s vintage, and then it has if I click on it and make it bigger, it actually has a little bit more text here. They were asking 65. It says in stock, but like I said, unfortunately, it just doesn't lead to anything when I click on it. But you can see some similarities between this piece and mine. So really mostly in this sort of Americana, like kickbacks, if you like, with this trim. So I can definitely see something that's similar there between that piece and mine, and this is true vintage from the 70s. So my initial thought with this was actually that this was like potentially the brand, which is actually like a German town or city, Wiesbaden, probably saying that wrong, but you know what I'm saying. So that's where I kind of started with this. It's single stitch as well, it's ringer, it's very, very similar aesthetically. And so I decided to look a little bit closer at this one. And this is actually, you can see the verbiage here from one to the other over here on the left-hand side. This is also the same piece, the same item, the same listing, if you like, on Etsy. And I could see here that it says Velvet Sheen, and then it's a 50-50 blend. It confirms to me that this is a vintage piece, definitely has that 70s feel. And so this was my next clue. I did a little bit of sleuthing with the name, like the German city, but then when I realized and went really close, I actually took this particular image to my desktop, and that way I could open it up separately, like dragged it over, and I could zoom in, and that actually refers to the graphics on there. It's nothing to do with the actual piece itself. Now, the fun thing about this, if I go over to my Poshmark closet and I show you this actual item, I will show you the tag, and you'll see, there it is. And you will see how similar this piece is, basically. Here is the tag. It's faded, and there's nothing I can get from that, but look at this yellow color blocking on this tag, right? And then come over here and look at this. There is such similarity there, and considering aesthetically they are almost identical, they're single stitch, all that good stuff, I am confident that this is the same brand. So I took Velvet Sheen from here, and on we went. Then I moved on to eBay, since this is one of the platforms I'll be selling on, and I simply put in Velvet Sheen single stitch ringer, wanting to keep it not too specific. We're not going Americano and wilds and all that kind of stuff. We're just going to keep it simple. And then I started scrolling through these. So obviously we have some branding here, and I'm looking at the solds here. I'm actually in solds rather than listed. Some of them are doing really, really well, some of them not so much. We're just kind of like going on through, checking things out. We got some Disney ones, all kinds of different stuff. And then I see this guy over here on my right hand side of the screen there. We're seeing again aesthetic similarities. So this is a rare vintage Velvet Sheen Firestone ringer t-shirt that sold for $60 plus shipping. And so I went into this particular listing, and I was able to look through the photos again, and I was able to verify again that we have this yellow color blocking. Again, in contrast with mine is faded, but it is definitely there. And so that helps me to feel fairly confident about this piece. Again, a 50-50 blend. We'll also have somebody referencing that it is from the 70s. Overall, that really helps me to feel confident in the piece that I have. And so I decided to price my item. I think I went 65 because I'm going to be entertaining offers and sending out offers. But I decided when I looked at the one that was on Etsy that was listed for 65, and then this one that was sold for 60, that I really wanted to be in that sort of 60 to 65 range as a starting point. And so that is what I did. And so that is where my listing comes into play here on both Poshmark and eBay, and also on Etsy, of course. All right, so moving on to the Lilly Pulitzer piece. That's my vintage piece that I wanted to show you. And then this piece here, I got also at a yard sale, paid $1 for it. What a bargain for Lilly Pulitzer. But unfortunately, like some Lilly has a style number in where you'd have your fabric content tag. This piece did not. I think it's maybe like a slightly older piece, a few years older. So I couldn't just pop the style number into Google and see what comes up. So I had to, again, do a bit more sort of super sleuthing, if you like. So let's take a look here where I started. So I started again with my Google images. And once again, I took my most prominent features, basically, of this item. So I would look at it, the wood patchwork kind of jumps out, but that's a little bit broad for me. So I went halter neck because that's the specific cut of the piece. And I also went pom-pom because of this pom-pom detail over here. Those to me are the two elements of this dress that really, really stand out. So we have Lilly Pulitzer halter pom-pom dress. So you can see almost immediately this one pops up, right? And I see lots and lots of listing where that is actually what it says. It says neon floral halter pom-pom dress halter with pom-poms, pom-pom halter dress, onward we go, right? But I was fairly determined that this wasn't going to be the name of the piece. Fairly sure of that because most of Lilly Pulitzer's piece, you can kind of see like hair poking through. They have like actual names like Astara dress, we have Evelina dress, we have the Lauro swing dress. They have specific names rather than just halter pom-pom dress. So I started looking through some of these images here. You can also go, like rather just at Google, you could go straight to Google Images. and I started clicking through some to see what they said. And then I stumbled upon this one. So clicking through several of them again, I'm getting an idea of comps while I'm there seeing some of the prices. And this one actually named the piece as far as I could tell. This was my next clue, right? My next step. So Lilly Pulitzer Thatch Patch Brighton Pom-Pom dress. And they're asking $60 there for a used piece. So I took this, Tradesy I don't go on very often, but I took this and I moved over to Poshmark, which is one of my prominent platforms as well. I could have done eBay, but I went to Poshmark just for the sake of comparison in this video. And I put in the words Lilly Pulitzer Thatch Patch Brighton dress. And it came up with several different versions, all the same dress, and then I found this one here, and it's a new with tags, so that's really useful to me as well. So I'm able to look at some of the comps and things like that specific to this particular piece, which is useful. You can see right here as well, this is in my solds. Instead of people asking, this is my solds. And I can see here that this was a new with tags piece. So that's really useful to me as well. I have confirmation, first of all, because it's new with tags, that this is the name of the piece because it says it on the tags. And when I actually go into the listing, even though it's sold, I'm able to take a look at the new with tags myself and verify that it is the multi-thatch patch Brighton dress. You can see right here on the piece, and I also get the original price that I can put into my Poshmark listing as well, that $268 right there. So that's really useful for me. I get some actual confirmation that that is the name of this piece, and I get an idea of comps, and I get an idea of original price. And so that is what affects what I can put in my listing as well. I can get all of this accurate information here, as well as the price and what I want to ask for my particular piece. All right, you guys, that is sort of my full process, if you like, of trying to decipher what random things may be. And obviously this varies from item to item, but it's really just about narrowing down those prominent keywords when you begin, and then kind of following like a little bit of a breadcrumb trail, if you like. And I will say the vintage item took me a bit longer. I'd say I researched that for 10 to 15 minutes, which is okay for me for like a $65 ask. And then the Lilly Pulitzer was way, way, way faster because it's a more contemporary and like mass-produced piece. And it only took me sort of 3 to 5 minutes, I would say, to figure out what its name was. But it's definitely worth putting the effort in because you are more likely to sell this item to someone who's looking for it. And sometimes it just gives buyers more confidence when you have the exact name and things like that, and you can provide that information rather than just a random Lilly Pulitzer patchwork dress. That's just my 2 cents. All right, you guys, let me know down in the comments if you have any tips for researching items. I would love to hear what you guys like to do when you are particularly researching things, and if you have any hot tips that I can also implement in my own process. Always looking for that and to learn from others. If you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, please do think about giving it a thumbs up. And if you like thrifty content and stuff about reselling online and making profit from sort of items you get from yard sales and rummage sales and thrift stores and all that kinds of stuff, please do think about hitting the subscribe button down below. And I hope you come back and hang out some more. I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Bye.